Championship week. Hey guys, I'm the Lawrence Presman, and you're watching the NFL Presidential Address. And like always, Ralph Michaels joining us. Only 2 games, both Sunday. Excited to watch them. Excited to bet them. Let's bring the man himself in. Ralph Michaels, how are you, my friend? Congratulations on your 5% play last week in NFL. You cashed it. Excellent, outstanding job.
Yeah, Prez, it's nice when you can cash a total in the first half. It was the Kansas City game over. So a stress-free 5% play. I wish they were all that easy. If you are watching this on Wednesday, I do have my first 5% college basketball totals play of the season up. I only had 2 last year. I did split them going 1-1. So this is only my third 5% college basketball total in 2 full seasons.
Wow, dude. I'm going to have to check that out, and I will be betting that play. We're going to look at both games today. We're going to look at some trends if you have any. Before we get into that, a couple of promotions to give away. Both hockey. One of the easiest sports to win at, and we are rolling in hockey. Carmine Bianco on an 8-1 NHL run, a 12-2 all sports run. I took his NHL season down to half price, $345. You can have it for $345. CARM345. That's the promo code you need to use, CARM345. Ralph, I won my 5% play as well on Tennessee, brother.
Yeah, you've been El Fuego in the NFL.
Of late, yes, cannot complain. 11-4 my last 15. I think I'm on a 6-1 NFL 5% run as well, and I have one up for this weekend, likely be my last 5% play of the season. So I'm pretty excited about it. Brother, let's get into some trends for championship week. Talk to me.
Obviously, there's not many with 2 games and looking at the scenarios. So, I want to start out by, normally you start this presidential address saying, owner of WagerTalk, owner of Sports
I
Memo,
say co-founder,
and owner of the iconic Gold Sheet. So I'm going to take a couple bits of information that the Gold Sheet has this week, talking about just conference championships since 1970. Favorites have gone 52-43 against the spread. Favorites straight up. So if you bet the favorite, do they win and cover? 64 of the 97 games. Home teams straight up, 66-32. Home teams against the spread, 54-42. A little more recent info. The last 16 years, home favorites have gone 17-14-1. Home favorites versus a team off a road game. So that would be the AFC with Tennessee off the road game. Home team has gone 13-5 straight up, 11-7 against the spread, 9-8-1 over under. Home against a home team like the NFC, 10-4 straight up, 6-7-1 against the spread, 9-5. 2 over unders that I did find interesting. And there's, again, not many scenarios because we're only talking about in this round. If the home team scored 37 or more points last game, do you expect them to continue that success? Well, they haven't. 0-4-1 ATS like Kansas City, 1-4 over under. If a home team allowed 10 or less like San Francisco, they've actually gone 10-5-1 against the spread. And listen to this, Prez. If the home team allowed 10 or less, their defense did great. The next game, they've gone 13-2-1 over under.
Wow.
A surprising stat. So again, this is we're taking scenarios that only happen twice a year, and if you remember back to last year, just a quick reminder, last year was the Rams in New Orleans, New England and Kansas City. Both dogs covered. Both games went into overtime. And in fact, the last 2 years, the dogs have gone a perfect 4-0, and the dog has won 3 of those 4 games straight up.
Well, we got two big dogs this week, Ralph. San Fran -7.5, Kansas City -7.5. There are some sevens on the board. The Kansas City total keeps climbing. We're going to talk about that. And the Green Bay total has gone up just a half a point, but I expect that to climb a little bit as well. Remember, everyone, Carm 345, half off his NHL season. What's up, Ralph?
You know, Prez, you and I are both on WagerTalk, but reaching out to the M's in the office and to Johnny, we did something different this week, and I just want to mention it for our Sports Memo guys. The Sports Memo lineup is an awesome lineup of guys, and normally when we have specials for WagerTalk and Sports Memo, we run the same specials on both. But we have a unique special, and I want to mention it. If you have any Sports Memo cappers that you're fond of, you can get a 7-day all-access package this entire week for just $59. No limit to the number of guys you have. We know Joe Ranieri and I do a college basketball show. We know mid-major Matt's been hot. So there's a lot of great guys. I just want to mention Sports Memo, $59. Any capper, 7-day all-access. Yes, 7-day all-access, $59. SportsMemo.com.
No promo code needed. Head over to Sports Memo and check it out. Also, Andrew McGinnis is hot. Alex B. Smith is hot. Yeah. Listen, it's definitely a younger group of guys over at Sports Memo, but some of these guys are absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, and just like something that I talk to a lot of people on the street, meet a lot of people, and they come up to you, hey, I saw you in videos, how are you, and want to shake your hand. And then you go over some of the features of the sites. Number one, you and I go over the line feeds. That's on Sports Memo or WagerTalk, where you have live line feeds. Not only that, you have first half lines, second half lines, money lines. And then more importantly, if you go to the Cappers page, you can see their last 20 plays.
Yeah.
Click on that play and read their write-up. So you're not going into this blind. You know how involved this handicapper is. You know how detailed his write-ups are. And even if a game loses, a lot of times I get a response. You know what? We had the right side. I loved your write-up, but you lost. So you get to learn about the handicapper as well as educating yourself. So I'll tell you what, I go and I read other people's write-ups just to learn after the fact. You viewers should certainly be doing that as well. That's WagerTalk and Sports Memo.
He's Ralph Michaels. I love the man. WagerTalk.com, the most knowledgeable handicapper on the planet. A big 5% play tonight. But we're doing way too much selling. Let's get into this, dude. Well, we'll go by a rotation order. For some strange reason, the Green Bay-San Francisco game is first up on the rotation board. San Francisco, what, Ralph?
I got an answer for that too, Prez.
Okay, well, teach me.
The Super Bowl home team this year is the AFC. They're on the bottom. So therefore, when you get to the conference finals, the AFC teams are on the bottom relative to where it transfers to the Super Bowl. They don't know what time the games are going to be played. They don't know if there's East Coast or West Coast teams. But when they set up the rotation, because the AFC is the home team this year, the AFC is the bottom of the two teams on Championship Sunday.
Well, the rotation number for Green Bay and San Fran, 311, 312. Let's get into it, man. San Fran -7.5. There are some sevens on the board. A total of 45. And this game fascinates me, Ralph, because, we saw Green Bay look good defensively against Russell Wilson, but that is a one-dimensional offense. And now they're playing San Francisco, and albeit San Francisco runs the ball really, really well, Jimmy G is able to throw the ball. They have good wide receivers. Kittle's one of the best catching tight ends in the league. And it's just a really well-balanced offense. Conversely, San Fran's defense is on fire. They looked outstanding against Minnesota. And I think Aaron Rodgers is going to really struggle in this game. I'll tell you now, I feel like I could make a really strong argument on why Green Bay should cover 7.5, but I feel like I could make an equally strong argument on why San Fran could cover. We saw the two of them play earlier this year. It was an absolute blowout by San Francisco. Although I tend never to look deeply into those games, basically you can just throw them away. I'm really liking the under in this game, Ralph. I feel like Green Bay's defense is at least fast in the front seven, and like I spoke about with Tennessee against Baltimore, they're east-west type of a defense. So I think San Fran is going to struggle, not struggle, but I think to some degree San Fran's going to struggle to run the ball, but they will keep trying all game. I think this game, man, I would not be surprised if this game was 20-17, 20-14, 17-10, that type of number. I really like under the total here, Ralph.
Prez, let's mention the halftime numbers for our viewers. Right now, San Fran is split between 4 and 4.5 and a total of 22.5. You talked about a slow start. Is perhaps that first half a play that might be in your wheelhouse at 22.5?
Yeah, I like the under a lot. I actually probably like that under better than the under on the game. And I do think both these teams are going to start off slow. So yeah, under first half, under on the game. 45 seems like a large number. Where are you going in this game?
I do like San Fran, and I look at the offense. Jimmy G's now 24-5 at a starter. I don't think the offense gets enough respect for the run game because you have three guys that are over 600 yards with Mostert, Coleman, and Breida, and you don't have that one go-to back like Aaron Jones. But you look at San Fran's offense, they're averaging 4.6 yards per carry versus Green Bay's 4.3. The issue I have with Green Bay is I don't throw that first game out. I think that first game is important. I think these Green Bay Packers know they went into San Francisco. They put up 198 yards and 8 points. I think that it is a concern moving forward. But more importantly for me, I look at the Green Bay Packers, and they were outgained by 34 yards per game on the road. That is like a 7-9 team, not a 13-win team in the regular season with only 3 losses. They've had some fortunate wins. They had some games where their defense played very well. So, I think now you have Rodgers, who, when he has been sacked multiple times, he's a whole different quarterback.
Yeah.
We know that he got sacked 5 times in the opening game. And we know with the return of Dee Ford, Bosa can't get double teamed. DeForest Buckner, Armstead, they have a dynamic, multi-level pass rush where they just come at you at waves and waves. We saw the 6 sacks against Minnesota. We saw 5 sacks earlier again in that Green Bay game. And by transitive property, I'm going to say this. Seattle was very banged up, and they played an even more banged up Philadelphia team and advanced. Now Green Bay played a very banged up Seattle team and advanced. And now you're coming into one of the healthiest teams that is at this point of the season. So I think there's value because of that and the way it happened with the way the rest of the NFC worked out with those wins. I certainly lean San Francisco, and no argument with your under.
Yeah, Ralph, the only thing that worries me about the San Francisco is, Aaron Rodgers is just such a winner. And he looked really good against Seattle. He made some outstanding throws. His touchdown to interception ratio is unbelievable as well. Devontae Adams looked great. Jones looked great.
Again, you're at home, Prez, against a banged-up team playing a second straight road game in the playoffs versus a team that had a bye week, looked as refreshed as anyone, and now you're going on the road.
Yeah, no, great point, dude. Ralph Michaels likes San Fran. I really like under the total of 45. Oh.
Bless you.
Thanks, buddy. Tennessee, Kansas City. This game fascinates me, and the total keeps moving. As we were talking, Pinnacle just plopped a 53 on the board. This went over 60 the last time these guys played, with Tennessee winning. Kansas City was not in this type of form that they're in now. And I told everybody, and I've been telling you, Ralph, for the last 6 weeks, Tennessee. I've been riding this team. I took them on the money line against the Patriots. I took them on the money line against Baltimore, which was a massive win. And I explained my reasonings. I said they had the best East-West defense in the league, meaning that their linebackers and the edge rushers are guys that really run well to their right and left. That did not bode well for Baltimore, because they run an option-style offense, which is an offense that goes to the right and the left. Now they're going to face a north-south offense, and it's a whole different ballgame. Tennessee is not a sacking machine, but they do get to the quarterback. But we're not talking about Derek Thomas and Lawrence Taylor type sacks here. This Tennessee team is made to stop the run. I don't think they're built to stop the pass, though. I think Kansas City is going to eat this team up. I like Kansas City in this game. I don't love the hook, but you can still get some sevens out there. And I like the over, Ralph. And I know people will be like, the over, Tennessee's just going to feed the beast all game and slow that clock down. Yes and no. They're going to slow the clock down by running Derrick Henry all game. But that is going to open up some massive deep play action passes. And we saw it with Tannehill last week on that gorgeous 50-plus yard touchdown. But the bottom line is, Kansas City's going to score, and they're going to keep scoring. And Tennessee is going to, at some point, have to keep pace. I look at this game and I think, what could the score be? And 35-24. That type of a number. I like Kansas City and I like the over, but you guys have to bet that over now, because it just keeps moving up. Ralph, what are you thinking?
Agree, Prez. I agree on both side and total. And my point is this: Tennessee, I think, is 12-1 when they have a lead at halftime. Why? They can run Derrick Henry. What happened at New England? They had the lead. What happened at Baltimore? They had the lead. But you look at Baltimore, and it's concerning to me. They gave up 530 yards. Baltimore just had horrible field position and would move from the 20s to the 20s and struggle. We saw that Lamar Jackson was frustrated. He looked like a rookie quarterback. When Tennessee scored that touchdown to go ahead, he's F-bombing on the sidelines. He's not focused. He came in, and he wasn't a good quarterback, yet that not good quarterback passed for 530 yards. What happened when KC got down 24-0? Complete opposite. Pat Mahomes is on the sideline, riling up his guys, know that they have the ability to score. What do? They score 21 points in how many minutes? And they run off what? 50, they outscore them 51-7 the rest of the game. I think, people look at Tennessee and say, well, they only passed for 71 and 83 yards. How can you like the over in this game? Well, they only passed that because they had the lead and can run the ball. If they're behind, they're going to have to open up the offense. And I think you have a different mentality. Just like Houston did going in, I think you have to come into the KC game knowing KC is going to score 30-plus points. Therefore, your mentality when you set up a game plan is, we have to be able to score some touchdowns. Let's use that run game to our advantage with play action early, as you mentioned. I think that's going to be a vital part of the game. So I think we might actually see a little bit of a difference out of Vrabel, and I think we may see a lot of passing early to set up some run games because KC will be trying to stop the run.
It's so funny. It's so funny you say that because I've been thinking, what would I do if I was game planning against Kansas City? And the two things that really stood out to me was that I feel like I would come out throwing the ball downfield right off the bat. I think I would throw a long play action pass, long bomb on the first play. Really try to get some space for when you start that running game. But the second thing, Ralph, and this is super important, is Derrick Henry is not going to get stopped more than 50% of the time on 4th and 2. I expect Tennessee to go for it on Kansas City side of the field at anything under 3 yards. And I think they're going to do it all game long. I think they have to do it for two reasons, Ralph. One, I think they need touchdowns and not field goals, and I think they know that. And two, more importantly, they need the ball, and they need to keep the ball. And I actually expect them to convert most of those fourth downs, fourth and shorts. That's why I like the over. But it's also why I like Kansas City, because they're going to be stopped, 20-30% of the time. And when they do, Kansas City will get good field position and within 3 minutes will be in the end zone. This is going to be a fun game. But nothing will be funner than a Kansas City-San Fran Super Bowl, Ralph, because now you're in a situation where you really have probably the fastest defense in all of the league in San Francisco, a defense that really has played outstanding all year long, matched up against maybe the most prolific offense since the greatest show on turf. That one is going to be just a doozy, but we don't need to discuss that now. So you're with me. You like Kansas City and the over?
Yeah, I mean, you look at Tennessee's offense. I mean, since they scored 7 at Buffalo and got shut out at Denver and made the quarterback change, they've scored 20 or more in every game.
Yeah, well, they've averaged 26 points on the year, just a hair under 26 points a game on the year, which is a pretty big number.
And, let's mention the first game. I mean, they were at home, obviously, but they come in knowing that they put 35 points on this Chiefs team. Final was 35-32. The Chiefs actually had a 530 to 370 edge. So, you look at Tennessee's defense, and while you say, yes, they're fast, they allowed 530 yards at home to KC in the first game, and they also allowed 530 yards to Baltimore last week, the exact same numbers. So, first half numbers just for our viewers, KC a solid 4.5 across the board. The total 25.5 right now for those that are looking at perhaps a first half lean. Look ahead to Super Bowl, Prez, like you said. The AFC is a 1-point favorite right now, 52.5. So you can bet that right this minute. If perhaps you think someone's going to pull an upset where it's advantageous to you, the AFC is a 1-point favorite.
Ralph, I really like Kansas City in the first half. I like them a lot. I think they are going to really come in focused on a big start.
After the failures
Yeah,
last
they don't want to go down, especially against Tennessee, who's just going to keep running the ball. And, they know they don't have Bill O'Brien on the other side to screw up the game. So I expect Kansas City to score 3 of their first 4 drives. It's just whether it's field goals or touchdowns.
Yeah, and you have to remember, I mean, you're traveling for a 4th straight week for Tennessee. You finished at Houston and you won that game because Houston rested all their starters. You go in, you play a very physical New England team. Then you go in and you play a very physical Baltimore team. And now you're playing the lightning fast Chiefs team. So, it's a nice run that they're on and it's exciting. But when you're traveling for a 4th straight week, that takes a lot out of you.
I'm cheering for Andy Reid. I'd like to see him win the Super Bowl. He's just such a great coach and such a good dude.
Yeah, on the WagerTalk TV show with Teddy and I, we both picked Kansas City at the beginning of the playoffs. But, San Fran's performance last week, actually made me reel that in a little bit. That
You got to be careful, Ralph. They played against a Minnesota team that really just couldn't find any rhythm, couldn't get into sync at all. And their offense wasn't spectacular last week against Minnesota. It was just their defense and Minnesota's stupidity.
Well, again, that's why I said I had to reel it in. I didn't switch my decision yet, but I just I was impressed with the defense, and to me, for the most point, better defenses win Super Bowl. So there's no question who the better defense is, but there's also no question who the better offense is. So,
I think,
it'll just be a great matchup.
I think, look, Kansas City's defense has been outstanding last 7-8 games this year, and especially against the run. So don't sleep on them. Obviously, San Fran's defense is better, but Kansas...
I want to jump in there real quick. You played the Chargers, you played Chicago, you played Denver.
Don't use my New England argument against me.
You played Oakland, and you played the Chargers again. So, yes, I understand the numbers are there, but you look at who they've played. There's not one top 12 offense in that group. San Fran is a top 12 offense. They may not be dynamic, but when you look at yards per game and points per game, they're clearly up there in both categories.
He's Ralph Michaels. I'm the Prez. We will be doing this show next week. It'll be our Super Bowl show. We might have one each week. We'll figure it out. Ralph, thank you so much for joining us. Guys, Ralph likes San Fran. I like the under. Both Ralph and I like Kansas City and the over. I really like Kansas City in the first half. Brother, you are always a pleasure to have on this show. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.